Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. We are live right now, that being 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you care about such things, it is already the 20th of May in the year 2021. Tonight, survival. Hello, hello, hello. It's been quite the day. I've been working on our new deck railing, and I can't say that it's gone smoothly up to the point that all the stuff finally got here. And it's been work, a couple days worth, but I have a vast section of it done, and it looks really, really good. Not convinced about the center posts yet, but I've got some playing around to do. Not an issue. So, as always, let me express my love for each and every one of you. Whatever's happening right now, however you are right now, is absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with you, nothing broken, nothing that needs to be fixed. This moment, everything is exactly the way it needs to be. Now, as I said last time we talked, or last time I talked, I'm going to remind you of a few things at the beginning of each video. So, let's focus on that just for 1 minute. The understanding that, things can be perfect and appear absolutely hellish to you. I'm sorry. And believe it or not, it does mean when someone drops dead in front of me that I say, well, that was perfect. But knowing, let me get serious for a moment if it's even possible anymore. Knowing that it's perfect does not always mean, especially at the level of consciousness most people are at. And like I said, it's not a race, it's not a measuring stick, it's a journey. It may appear horrible in your perception. It may feel nasty in your perception. So, and this is going to go right into what we're going to talk about tonight. So understanding that we're already going through it, if you accept the perfection of it, in other words, you accept that indeed it's happening right now and that you live in a loving universe and therefore it's perfect, you can take your attention off the resistance against it, which is causing you all sorts of issues. Even when it comes to body pain, our resistance against that body pain does nothing to help the pain. As a matter of fact, it can oftentimes help to intensify the pain. Falling through the pain, accepting and opening ourselves and getting out of the way allows a state of equanimity to be reached with the pain in yourself. And I've experienced this myself. I'm doing so right now with a rapidly deteriorating back that's been needing surgery for 2 years now, and it may happen this fall thanks to this good old COVID. What do? It's really okay. It's absolutely perfect. Even this is perfect. So the whole idea is that if you're not wasting your energy and attention beating your fists up against whatever's happening, you're able to see what's in that perfection for you, because there's a gift. This is the truth. I've experienced this myself over and over and over again. There is a gift waiting for you in every one of your worst nightmare experiences. And I am not looking forward to back surgery. I don't like going under the knife at all. It's happened to me way too many times. The last thing you see is a room full of masks and doctors and big bright lights, and you think, I wonder if I'll be back. And sometimes you wake up and sometimes you don't right away, but then you do. And for me, it's like, damn it. Still here. But the recovery process, but honestly, there's a gift in that. I know I'm waiting with excitement for the gift. I don't give a rat's about the pain I'm going to suffer through. That's transient. There's going to be a gift that's going to offer growth and a raising of my own consciousness and another expression of my own creativity as I spend pretty much 2 months in a bed. That's going to be wild. It is ripe with everything from finally getting around to writing the poetry of awakening, which I, have been talking about for quite a while. I mean, there's so many gifts waiting in that experience. And if you can shift your approach to life in this way, well, it'll never be about survival again. And that brings us right into what we're going to talk about. And that is survival. And this is a video on behalf of one of our group members who reached out and said, hey, would you do a video on this subject? And I'm not 100% sure if the wording of the post that they were referring to was necessarily pointing this way, but it's a worthwhile discussion to have, and that is our concept around survival. And as always, I'm going to use my own experience to relay that to you. And I want to be crystal clear again. I am not to be put on a pulpit or any other place except directly eye to eye with you. We are all children of that Creator. We are all equal in its eyes, and we are all equal in my eyes. So please don't take what I have to say and say, well, Garhen said it, it must be true. No, allow your inner self to speak to you. It will tell you where you resonate with things. And as always, remember, I'm simply pointing out the pathway. Your own inner guru is waiting down one of those pathways for you. It is my intent to get the two of you to meet up and have a big party together. Speaking of big party, one more thing before I get back on topic. If you're fortunate enough to live around the Armstrong, BC area or within a reasonable enough distance to travel, I've been talking about this for a few years now, and by all that is holy, I am going to pull this off. We are going to, sometime after this COVID thing is done, probably early next spring by the way things are looking, we are going to have 80s and 90s adult rave. It's going to be all the best tunes from the 70s, even some of the 60s. Basically, it's going to go from the 60s until good music ended, which was around the year 2000, as far as I'm concerned. Everyone's gonna dress retro, and we're gonna have a lot of fun, and I'm gonna DJ the thing, and I'm gonna set the whole thing up, and it'll be just done as a non-profit, or if we raise some money from it, we'll find someone to give the money to or an organization to help out. But wow, I'm so looking forward to that. So let's go right back into the survival. Excuse the segue. I get distracted. Sun is shining. It's windy. I've been outside all day. When it comes to survival, that survival is all about our root chakra, right? Okay, so if you imagine that we are, almost like a tree in our nature, we are rooted in the ground. And the chakra most related to that survival, to our physical needs, is that root chakra. Now, if we're carrying a lot of fear about our survival, or a lot of worry, or a lot about a future fear, looking off into the future in fear instead of being present, oftentimes we'll generate a lot of anger around that fear. We're going to imbalance that root chakra. And when you imbalance the foundational chakra, that as our, and really this is important to understand, that You are a product on this planet, and I'm speaking to you as the being that's on this planet, and I'm trying to be clear with this, but so if you can imagine, so my bottom hand is under your feet and my top hand is over your head. So you are pulling energy up this way at the same time that you are broadcasting out energy this way and receiving energy in this way. But as your physical manifestation, the vast majority of the energy that has to do with the physicality of the body is pulled upward into the body through the root of the body, through that attachment to this earth. And the reason we're starting here is it's important to understand the underlying energetic process, and we're going to get on to the mind and the egoic sense of self and what that does around survival right away here, okay? So just hold on. Give me time, I'm an uncomfortable old man. So the other thing you want to do is of course, speaking of your root chakra and that connection, is to always ground yourself. Take time to get those shoes off, the socks off. Buy grounding shoes or grounding socks, and that won't interfere and get in the way of that grounding effect. And ground yourself to the planet on a daily basis. So, using my own experience, let's talk about those fears we have of our physical survival. And I'm going to start with, my own young experience with the night. Okay, so I used to be deathly afraid of the dark. As a young child, not only did I have the incident with my father raping my sister and and the darkness and the light in the door and the dark shadowy figures, I was plagued by nightmares. I foolishly watched movies against my mother's wishes, a lot of them horror shows that left lasting residual dreams that I would wake in the middle of the night, and I had such a fear of the dark that by the time I joined cadets at I'm not sure what age, it was very young. It was it was actually a pre-cadet group, whatever they call that these days. Not quite cadets or adets. You haven't got the C yet. But anyways, so we had this weekend out camping, and in that there was this exercise out in the middle of the night, and I was alone in the dark for most of the night, and the sheer terror of whether I would survive the night or not, the imagination of what was there in the dark, the cringing and shaking and quaking in fear at the slightest snap of a twig. Now that seems a far stretch from an adult walking around in our world today. But believe it or not, it's really not that far. It's actually it has its basis in the same egoic deal, okay? So obviously I lived through the night, or some alien takeover exact replica version did, and that's now been leading my life and I simply don't know any better. But in either case, I got over it. Now, life doesn't appear to be able to be gotten over for a lot of people because it's ongoing. If you're not dead, you're not over it, right? But these same base ideas exist in our egoic sense of selves as adults around our survival, and a lot of that's been programmed in. I could pull reference after reference out of the Bible, out of every other spiritual tome in existence. But honestly, to me, Christ says it best of all. In Matthew, he talks about the birds in the field, the crows. That they are not clothed, that they don't have homes, and yet they are cared for. They are looked after. He talks about the grass in the field that's going to be going in the oven and be burnt the next day. How that too is cared for. How everything is looked after by that creative consciousness. On a more physical observation level, the sun cares for us. The earth itself cares for us. If you pay close attention, you'll find that so much of this universe is caring for each and every one of us right now and living within this perfect space. What worry is there about survival? And what good would that worry about survival do you? So let's look a little deeper at this, okay? Because I gotta tell you, I really don't give a damn whether I'm alive today or and dead tomorrow or dead 5 minutes from now. It doesn't really matter to me. The reason being is I know the perfection of this universe so deeply. I know the eternal nature of my being. I've experienced death. There is no end. There is no survival. Because the idea of survival would suggest that that which you are could ever expire, or ever be truly harmed, or ever be snuffed out in some way. And you can't be. I'm sorry. It's impossible. As a matter of fact, that which you are has never been born and will never die. Back down here for what a lot of people are going to say, well, Garhen, let's go back to the real world, the physical space. And hey, I've experienced starvation. I've experienced death, obviously. I've experienced a lot of the things involved around survival and freaking out, worrying about it, getting carried away with the fearful of what the future may bring has never helped that survival. So let's look at that egoic concept of that. So when we begin to worry about our own survival, what is it we're telegraphing to the universe? We're telegraphing a whole list of complete and utter bullshit. I'm sorry. Excuse the bad language. Who was that? That must have been that alien replica or whatever, the symbiote. The point is that whatever's going on right now it's already happening. And if you can stay present, if you can stay away from that somehow future, fearful future, and stop telegraphing to all of creation, because that's what you're doing. What you think upon, the fear of you not surviving, the fear of you struggling to survive in the physical realm, the struggle, the universe says, as you wish, I love you. You're going to experience more of the struggle. Why? Until you become free of the struggle. As Eckhart Tolle says, if you have 50 cents in your bank account, that's the reality, is you have 50 cents in your bank account. The concept that you're broke is the struggle. That's the part you don't need. And I gotta tell you, I've been homeless in my life as well. The first time was actually intentional. There's been a couple of times. When you choose to take off and traipse across the planet, a lot of times, sometimes it doesn't end very well. But it always did end well. You live in a perfection where if your life is to be brought to those experiences, they too will contain magnificent gifts of growth, gifts that fundamentally change your being. And if not you, it may be that you are to be the instrument through which others recognize so much about themselves, so much about what they need to do to change. Our survival is already written. The journey has already been recorded in the book of life. Why? Because it's all happening right now. Past, present, future, all combined in this one moment, like stacks of paper, one day upon another, an infinite amount of that paper, except only one page thick. It's all occurring right now. And through that, the journey has already been written. Your survival is never and has never been in doubt. What we're really talking about is our fearful approach to the world that we've created. A situation where more and more people find themselves suffering and struggling to survive. And it may take many, as a matter of fact, I talked about this to Kelly many times already. I said, honey, things right now are going well for us, but that can change. And we may be struggling a lot more one day. As a matter of fact, I can almost guarantee you that we will as we age. This is the reality of our existence, but to fear that, to wish to stave that off in some way, to not be willing to have a modicum of faith in that divine presence that pervades all of our lives and is us, and at the same time manifests us all. To be willing to say, I accept this cup, no matter how bitter of a cup it may appear. That's what happened to Christ, right? And believe me, he had more than one moment, but one moment sticks out in particular where he didn't want that bitter cup. And there he was in the garden. And it was the night before he was going to be executed, to be crucified. And he was at Peter's house, and he was out in the garden. And he knelt and he began to pray. And he said, Lord, take this bitter cup from me. Take this bitter cup from my lips. I don't want it. He didn't want to go through the suffering. He didn't want to go through the physical death on a cross. It wasn't a preferred way to exit the plane of this physical earth. We all know that. He didn't receive a reply, and he knew that he needed to drink from that cup. He knew he needed to have that perfect faith to accept that there was something far larger going on than he was capable of understanding, even in his state of being, his level of consciousness. The same applies for each of us. There is something far larger at work. And you are a wondrous, powerful part of it. You get to make your choices. The more you can open your point of view, the wider the view that you can allow into your being, the better off your choices will be made. But your choices are really, I guess the best example that we can put for human beings is, those books where there's like 6 different endings, and depending on a number of choices you make throughout the book, you'll end up at one of those 6 different endings. Well, your life is really no different, except that which you are in truth, that divine consciousness, already knows which ending you're going to pick. But you're going to go through and make all the choices at these highlight spots. So it's all there, it's all written, and yet you perceive all of these choices, and that's part of this existence. You're not here to survive. As a matter of fact, you're here to die. The moment you're born, you're gonna die. The process begins. You're doomed. Doomed. No, really, anything that is born here into this physical universe is doomed to dissolute. You're not here to survive. You're here to live. And when you focus on the living, when you let go of the worry and fears around your survival, and you stay connected to this planet and connected to that inner self, your survival is no longer in doubt. And the choices that you make will not be based out of fear. The predominant train of thoughts broadcasting themselves to the universe will not be thoughts of fear and worry or not enoughness around your physical existence. And you will find, I guarantee you this, that there will always be enough. Except it may be not enough that you think, but it will be enough. And when the time comes, you won't survive the night. Your apparent existence here will come to a close, will come to an end, and that too will be absolutely perfect. And the gift and the growth and the evolution that you offer everyone around you in every experience, including that experience, is needed. We all need those gifts. That's it, that's all. Let go of any worry about your survival. What is, and what will be, will be. Stay connected to the earth. Keep yourself balanced. Allow that root chakra to be healthy and vibrant. Spend time in nature. Much love to you all. Namaste. We'll talk again Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. Take care.